China's actually very public about their AI kind of agenda mission. They talk about it, they publish it, and of course they have a very different theory of this than we do. Right? They view AI as a way to achieve population control. Right?
Really?
Yeah, they're authoritarians, right? And so the number one priority for Chinese leadership is always that the population of China stay under control, right, and not revolt, right, or expect to be able to vote, right, or whatever, right, anything that would threaten the dominance of the Communist Party of China. And so so for example, China's security camera companies are the world leaders in AI security cameras because they're really good at like sniffing out people walking down the street, right? Like that's the kind of thing that their systems are really good at. And so they have a whole national development program, which is their government and their company. In China, all the companies are actually controlled and owned effectively by the government. Like there's not as much of a distinction between public sector, private sector as there is here. So China has a more organized effort that couples basically their whole society. And then they have a program to basically use AI for population control inside China, authoritarian political control. And then they've got this program called Digital Belt and Road, where they're going to basically try to install that AI all over the world, right? And if you've been tracking, they've had this program for the last 10 years to be the networking layer for the world. So this whole 5G thing with this company called Huawei. So they've been selling all these other countries all the technology to power their 5G wireless networks. And then they're basically going to roll out on top of that this kind of AI, authoritarian, basically control, surveillance control, population control stuff. And
on the Huawei
on top of basically on top of the other infrastructure. They have the Huawei 5G stuff. They've got what they call smart cities. So they've got a bunch of software they've already sold a bunch of countries to basically run a city, to run public transportation and, traffic control and all these things. And that's got their security cameras built in everything. And right. And then, of course, what they pitch to the president or prime minister of country X is if you install our stuff, you'll be able to better control your population.
Jesus.
Right. If you install the American stuff, who knows? They'll, they're Americans, they're crazy, democracy, like freedom, like all that stuff. Like in China, we want things like controlled. And of course, a lot of people running a lot of countries would find the China model, quite compelling.